many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet.
I do apologize for being late. I was obliged to clear up some urgent business.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. Unfortunately, I am now confronted with another problem, which I would rather have done without. You see, last night, Miss Adams also went missing. I have had my people searching for her all over the island. Alas, to no avail. It so happens that both her mental and her physical health are extremely fragile. I'm worried that the same thing happened to her as to your mother. Also, I would appreciate it very much if you could tell me what you were doing on the floor in her room in the early hours
It's quite
of the
normal.
morning.
I can explain everything.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear it. You see, Sir Gregory is about to arrive, and he's taken Elizabeth's disappearance very, very seriously. Please reassure him so that we can talk about your mother.
William, I would like to see you a moment before we begin. In private.
Let's step outside a moment. Louis, this will only take a few moments.
better not make myself look more suspicious than I already do.
Good evening, Monsieur de Richet.
Likewise, Sir Gregory.
Well then, let us begin.
Gregory, Louis told me we needn't be concerned.
Of course. Monsieur de Richet, the situation seems to escape your grasp, so I won't beat about the bush. Did you kill Elizabeth Adams?
What? Elizabeth is dead?
No, now let us remain calm. We do not yet know, Gregory, precisely what has happened to our poor Elizabeth.
I beg your pardon? So what are you accusing me of then?
We must remain calm, Gregory. We have found no evidence that would suggest that Elizabeth has been murdered. For the time being, she has only disappeared. Let's stick to the facts, if you please.
Well, where is she then?
I'm not absolutely sure, but I'd wager she's gone to visit her sister.
I beg your pardon?
Good Lord! You mean Abigail?
Yes, they've been keeping in touch by mail. Elizabeth always dreamt of meeting her. I wouldn't be surprised if she went to see her.
Damnation, William. This is a fiasco. Sir, you don't seem to realize just how serious this is.
Let's try and remain calm, Gregory. In any case, it would be far better if Elizabeth really has left the island, as Louis says. Why do you think she wanted to leave?
She was terrorized by my mother's presence here. Just the thought of coming face to face with her was unbearable.
Did she tell you why?
Yes, she brought the subject up.
I'm sorry, Louis. It couldn't have been easy to hear.
For your sake, I sincerely hope that she got there safely. Monsieur de Richet, I apologize if my words seemed a little abrupt. I dare not think what would happen if Elizabeth came across your mother on the island. Your generosity may well cost you dearly.
I understand, my lord. I certainly regret it.
You don't need us for any of this. So come along, Monsieur Peru. We are leaving.
Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
When I first came here, I wasn't that worried. In the past, my mother has taken a few liberties during her missions, including disappearing for several days on end.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the canon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. he was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having support of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what he said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
If only my mother had trusted me, but she remained very mysterious. I'd have been delighted to answer your question.
Is this usual for her?
As head of the Order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she is wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. von Wollner, and myself.
You forget Elizabeth Adams, my lord.
That's true. But Gregory and I arranged it so that they wouldn't run into each other. I thought it had worked. Do you think that your mother felt she was in danger because of Elizabeth?
It's possible.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jersey, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
Ah, yes. His famous cotton gin. It was supposed to revolutionize cotton production in the United States.
It will revolutionize the world, Louis. The potential of this invention is much greater. Tomorrow, all industries will be switching to simple but large-scale production. Of that, I'm sure.
I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the Third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Mother lulled my childhood with tales of the Crusades, how Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus had to battle it out to achieve their ends, and how Guy de Lusignan, having broken his word, launched the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Oh, I see Sarah's lessons have inspired new enthusiasts. Good on you, because not everyone can claim they know as much at your age. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
Alright, so welcome to episode 2. As you can see, that was quite the opener. Lots of stuff going on. My biggest pet peeve is that after the events of last night, with me passing out apparently in her room and Abigail going missing, it just seems really random that it would just start with me being questioned and up in Mortimer's office who just suddenly turned up. But I mean, hey, what am I to say with how this game is structured? Alright, so now on to the next part. To check out the room that my mother was so interested in spending time in. Fair warning that there was a very intricate puzzle which ties into a lot of Bible verses and the such. And it really became a lot of trial and error. So I'm going to try to skip through most of this, except for the bits where I'm actually progressing me following the trail of the clues, because I spent a lot of time here, and even had to look up one of the answers.
By Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors, too. Paul facing an ordeal. The
the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior.
What is this disc?
Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays.
Honey, I couldn't have hoped for better. There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is on to us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor. I'm gonna need something to help me get the key that fell on the floor. The door was closed from the inside. Would Mother have provided something within reach to recover it? We'll see if it works. It's open. St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean? The New Testament. This volume dates from the first edition of Gutenberg. It's the first book that was ever printed. The pages are covered in annotations in Latin, French, and Hebrew. Someone spent years studying this Bible. This book is incredibly precious. I believe this is the book my mother referred to when calling upon the Lord. I guess I'll just come back later.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh, wait, a note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say? Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that? St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Hey, wait! That means it's him. He's the youngest apostle. Right. This painting is therefore associated with the answer which E had to give to my mother. Now, I just need to know how to recover the answer. It's St. John, painted by Guido Rini. The painting looks like it's been taken down recently. But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course. There's something written behind the painting. On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add one companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean? And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and a half a time, from the face of the serpent. Hey, a new note. It's been folded carefully in the corner of this page. The writing, it's not my mother's. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel. Hears the angel? What does that mean? Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note. There's something else behind this painting. It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean? Now, therefore, there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law with one another. Why do ye not rather suffer injustice? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Ah, look, here's a message. It is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Here's a message. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's say tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him. Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. And he became very hungry, and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey,
There's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that? I'm guessing it's a metaphor. I need to figure out what this means. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious.
Well, there you have it, folks. That was the abridged version of the treasure hunt among Bible verses. Probably took me a good 45 minutes or so, and I cut a good half hour out or so in the video edit. So you're welcome for that, and if you skipped ahead, let's enjoy where this goes next.
Emily, I must speak to you.
What's the matter, Louis?
I have news about your sister.
What have you found out?
Look, I've started piecing together the events leading up to my mother's disappearance and your sister's. Did my mother know about your secret?
Yes, even though I belong to the English chapter, her rank in the Order gives her access to a good deal of personal information.
It must have been Emma I saw in my vision.
I was given to understand that my mother and your sister bonded during their stay. I've got a question that might seem a little bit strange.
I'm listening.
If I said go beyond the nightmare, would that ring any bells?
No, means nothing to me. Do you mean literally or figuratively speaking?
My mother used to talk about it. In the figurative sense, probably. We still need to understand what she was referring to, though.
If I find something, I'll let you know.
Should I speak to her about my vision? If what I saw is true, she might want to take revenge.
Emily, there's something else.
Go on then.
It's about your sister. I don't know what happened exactly, but it's possible that my mother had a go at her.
I know, Louis. I found out that same evening. Well, thanks for not trying to hide it.
What? Why didn't you tell me?
I didn't know if I could trust you. Now I know I can. It seems that your mother tricked Emma. She apparently asked her to hide an important book so that even she wouldn't know where it was. And then she shot her like a dog to make sure no one would ever find it again.
How did you find out?
Sir Gregory told me on my arrival.
I'm sincerely sorry, Emily.
Thank you, Louis. But you do realize your mother will have to accept the consequences of her acts.
There must be an explanation, Emily.
That's what we shall see. Come, Louis. They're waiting for us.
You will pay dearly, Peru. I'm sure you were involved somewhere along the line.
That's right. Pretend you don't know. One piece of advice. Don't travel through France on your way back, or it'll cost you dearly.
Calm now, my friends. Let's calm down. Everyone seems to be a little unnecessarily heated. Don't forget where you are, please.
What's going on here exactly?
Sir Gregory called us together to introduce the last guest.
But hardly had we arrived when he set upon Monsieur Peru.
And who is this charming character?
Manuel Godoy, the Duke of La Alcudia.
He's the head of the Spanish government, Monsieur de Richet. He's the one who, in practice, controls Spain.
How could you dare do such a thing? Dios mío, you are all out of your minds!
Really, Duke Manuel? What made you kick up such a fuss?
What? Have you not heard? Well, let me inform you that yesterday morning at 10:22 a.m. precisely, in the middle of the Place de la Révolution in Paris, by decree of the National Convention which Monsieur Peru works for, King Louis was guillotined.
What? Oh, no.
The King of France is dead, gentlemen. Our monarchies are in danger. I have said it before. How dare they?
Oh, dear.
Oh, as if it...
Gracious. Paul. Friends, let us calm down.
Don't pretend to be surprised. He got a fair trial.
Ridiculous. Bastard. He was sentenced to death by 361 votes to 360. You beheaded a king for one vote. Is that your democracy?
What an obnoxious act. Until this, anything was possible. This political coup will have grave consequences.
France is lost.
Gentlemen, please. Let us take a step back a moment.
In the name of holiness. He was the highest representative of God in France, Emily.
Gentlemen, Duchess, we're all among people of reputable company here. We should be able to manage the conflicts of our nations in a respectful and orderly manner.
I fully agree with you, sir.
But
That's enough, sir.
with whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Louis Maras de Richet.
Are you related to Sarah de Richet?
Sarah is his mother, Duke. Gentlemen, this news affects us all, but I must ask you to remain calm. It's not the first time history has taken us by surprise. Let's ensure that our respective countries are allowed to respond appropriately to this news.
Oh, rest assured. The response will not fall short, my friend.
Good for you. Well, Your Grace, here I was preparing to introduce you as is proper, and you've beaten me to it. I'm delighted that we are all together at last. Our meeting will therefore be able to kick off shortly. I have just a few more little preparations to take care of before you all find out the reason for your presence here. In the meantime, I shall leave you to get to know one another. When you hear the bell, please proceed to the conclave room on my left, behind that door. I'll see you later.
Could you spare a moment, please, sir?
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you, too. Of course.
I heard about your mother's disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone. Huh? Let's see what he wants from me.
Any news of her? Have you found her, maybe?
To hear you speak, you seem to know my mother well.
Not really. We met for the first time on this very spot some weeks back. We had a very pleasant discussion. She's an exceptionally learned lady with a good head for business. No need for me to tell you that.
I agree.
Did she tell you about our arrangement?
Absolutely, but I was hoping that you could tell me more about it.
Well, she was planning to sell me a very old book. I will make no secret of the fact that I am passionate about the subject. And when Sarah spoke to me about it, her account literally had me enthralled. I can think of nothing else since. You might have come across some old books in her belongings, perhaps?
I found one.
Quite old? With locks on every chapter?
Oh no. I'm sorry, sir. This one is the Mysterium Cosmographicum, a book she is particularly fond of.
Oh, no. That's not the one.
Poor man's disgusted. I shouldn't play with his nerves. I'll look again. You seem very upset. Is it so important to you, this book?
Well, it's the search of a lifetime. What can I say? Every time I move closer to it, it seems to slip away at the last minute. I was very surprised to learn that your mother had it in her possession. I thought it was with a certain von Borchet in Paris. Do you know him?
I've never heard of him. I'm sorry. I haven't been much help to you.
Well, too bad.
I hope I've been able to satisfy your curiosity, Mr. von Wollner, and that you succeed in finding what you're looking for.
Oh, and so do I.
And now, what if you told me who you really are working for, instead of keeping up this pretense?
I beg your pardon?
We both know what you're looking for, von Wollner. You're the one who von Burchert was planning to sell it to.
For centuries, all those who have come into contact with the Al-Azif have bitterly regretted it, Monsieur de Richet. You are playing a dangerous game. Please know that I am working for someone who does not appreciate anyone poking around in his business.
Let me guess. Your dear king, I should think.
What? You mean Frederick William? Oh, my poor fellow. You are miles away. That stupid, pretentious puppet wields no real power. But seeing as you do not wish to be serious, so be it. Good luck to you.
Alright, so I gotta do full disclosure here. Something happened when I was recording, so that the audio was a good couple seconds off.
Chest.
So I did my best to fix it up. And maybe you could tell in that last cutscene that things weren't lining up quite right.
I'll retrieve it later. I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later.
But it's a lot better than it was. So, just want to throw that out there, and apologies in advance, but this is a lot better than the unedited version, where the audio was definitely a good 20 seconds off of where it was.
Amber. Amber crystals.
Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
May we?
Would you have any more information about the conference Lord Mortimer spoke of?
Nothing at all. Mortimer is very committed to secrecy when it comes to his conferences. But given the presence of Monsieur Peru and ourselves, I think it must concern France to some extent. Otherwise, I doubt he would have invited 3 Frenchmen to his table, huh?
What do you think of Duke Godoy?
Well, I'd rather not express any opinion of him.
Why is that?
His reputation is enough for me.
I'm sure that a soldier such as yourself is not interested in vulgar rumors.
Quite right. If only this cursed gossip didn't come to stain the uniform he has the audacity to wear.
Don't you find him worthy?
But how could he be, monsieur? He never sets foot on the battlefield, too occupied with charming the queen. Have you any idea of the number of titles that coward has won in just a few years?
No, not really.
10! And that Don Juan spends the best part of his time under the queen's skirts. The bugger must have some hidden talent, given all of the gifts she gives him.
I understand your point of view. Well, I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur. Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave. Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
And with that, the bits of political intrigue that just exploded onto the scene are over with. So time to continue our investigation for what it means to go beyond the nightmare. Ha 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 ha.
What can I do for you, sir? I am at your service day and night, sir.
As I was unable to bring my personal effects with me, I was wondering if you could find me a few items.
Of course, sir. What would you require?
I still haven't quite recovered after that boat crossing. Would you happen to have any Devil's Thorn by any chance?
I am sorry, sir, but the Devil's Thorn may be just a plant, but it is also a powerful psychotropic drug that causes undesirable diuretic effects. I would advise against, sir, taking any.
Don't worry, my good man. I know the effects of Devil's Thorn very well. I've been taking it for years without any adverse effects. I've never had cause to complain. You can believe me.
That is well, sir. Here is Sir's herb. What else can I do for you, sir?
My good fellow, would you have any amber available?
I would, but unfortunately, I don't think I am authorized to give it out, sir. I believe it is a precious stone.
A little Carmelite water would do me a lot of good. Could you find me some, please?
Oh, the tonics are under lock and key, sir. Lord Mortimer only allows access to them in cases of emergency.
What? That's the last straw. Lord Mortimer himself asked me to take the sea to join him here. I accepted out of kindness. The voyage was undertaken in conditions that I prefer not speak about. And then at long last I arrive and you refuse me a simple flask of Carmelite water?
No, sir.
Your name. Tell me your name.
Here, sir, your Carmelite water. Please accept my sincerest apologies. If Sir requires anything else whatsoever, Sir has only to ask.
And once again, it was lots of fun shaking down the servants for anything that I want. I love how it's just like, what is your name? I'm going to file a complaint. Oh, okay, here's your items. Apologies.
Go beyond the nightmare. Does this line remind you of anything in particular?
You've caught me unaware here, Louis. Let me think about it a second. No, nothing comes to mind. Sorry, Louis, but I am unable to help you.
Mr. President, what do you think about your counterpart, Duke Manuel?
I'm very surprised he was able to accept Lord Mortimer's invitation, given the political situation in Spain.
What do you mean?
The situation is ready to explode with France over Catalonia.
Well, the Duke must have a darn good reason to be absent and come here, mustn't he?
When Lord Mortimer invites you, Louis, you come. It's always in your best interest.
I wouldn't say that personally, but... Mr. President, can you tell me a little more about the coming conference?
Of course, Louis. That's why we're here. Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory regularly organize meetings like this to put forward major projects.
What do you mean by major projects?
I'd prefer to let Lord Mortimer explain that to you, Louis. Let's say he brings together influential people in order to consider possible actions to undertake to guarantee the future of nations.
Do you know the theme of the conference?
Not in the slightest. None of the guests know the theme before arriving. But you'll see, everything will turn out fine. Don't worry.
Well, thank you for your time.
Don't mention it, my young friend. Regarding your question on the nightmare, don't hesitate to question the others about it. Maybe one of them knows more than I do.
That's a good idea. Thank you once again. I'll see you in a little bit.
Ah, Louis. Just the man. Good Lord. How did the king come to be executed? I would think that the order would have intervened.
Your Eminence, I haven't been following the case. I'm sure that the Order did everything in its power. Unfortunately, you know the situation in Paris, and, well, it's chaotic at best. Anything can happen in those revolutionary tribunals.
The king is the official representative of God on earth, my son.
Your Eminence, France has become a secular state. The king was just another citizen to them. He refused to admit his errors, looked down upon them, and attempted to escape. What did he expect?
France has lost all reason, Louis.
I invite you to speak about it with my mother as soon as she reappears.
Is there any news of her?
I hope it won't be long before I find her, Your Eminence.
Now you wanted to speak to me.
I'm sure a man like you is in the circle of trust. Would you know what the conference that Lord Mortimer mentioned is going to be about?
Not really, my son. Well, be it Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory, we are never informed about the theme of the conference before it begins.
I was wondering what to think of that Manuel Godoy.
He is reputed to be a very ambitious character, at every level. But his faith is unwavering. He is a staunch defender of the church. You can believe me.
As to his faith, I have no doubt. However, his ambition seems to surpass his morality, and I hope that it will not sully the crown.
You can say that again. The blue eyes of the latest Infanta, Maria Isabel, have left everyone wondering.
Rumors always accompany men of power, Your Eminence.
Naturally. But the number of awards and titles granted by the Queen during these past 4 years leaves little doubt.
So, Godoy really is this out-and-out rascal who uses his charm on the Queen. If I say the nightmare to you, does it make you think of anything?
Your question is strange, my son. Difficult to say. Could you at least tell me a little more about the context?
Well, I mean, if it were a place or an object found on this island, what would you think of first?
The nightmare. No, I don't see anything. I'm sorry.
Well, that's too bad.
Wait. I suppose it might be that horrible painting hanging in Lord Mortimer's study.
Pretend not to be that interested. Right. Well, don't worry about it. I was just curious. Thank you for everything, Your Eminence. I shan't take up any more of your time.
You are welcome, my son. I will be seeing you, Louis.
And just like that, we have our answer. To go beyond the nightmare is a reference to the painting in Lord Mortimer's chambers, where we were just this morning. So now, shall slowly make my way that way, and we'll see just what's behind the painting.
Amber crystals. there's the alchemical symbol of the earth on the lid. Pound. So, what did my mother mean by going beyond the nightmare?
So at this point, I gotta think it's pretty funny that you can just walk into his chambers without any of the servants or anyone stopping you. Like, you even talked to the house servants earlier.
A four-letter word could open this chest.
And they're like, this region is off limits. There is no way that you can go in there without his approval. And now we can just waltz up here to loot his stuff and figure out his puzzles. Like, ugh, alright.
A pound. Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming. The Book of the Mortimer Family. The Book of the Mortimer Family. The Coup de Lance by Paul Rubens. It's a book on the history of the Crusades. I don't think it has any connection with my research. It looks like a war painting. It's dated. No, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Well, I hope I never have to try and unlock it. The Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. Ah, this must be what my mother was talking about. Now just need to find out what she meant by go beyond. Hey, looks like it's mounted on rails on each side. It should lift up, I think. There must be a mechanism somewhere.
I found it. Oh, what on earth is this? A ring lock now? Great. That's all I needed.
Let's take a closer look. Might come in handy. Painting depicting the Third Crusade. It's titled Winter Before the Fall of Saint-Jean d'Acre. The Siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre was a major conflict during the Third Crusade. Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus fought to take the town back. It was the Crusaders' first operation to take back the Kingdom of Jerusalem. William Alexander Mortimer I, the 12th month of Anno Lucis, 5190. That's a funny date. Which four-letter word could open this chest?
So that right there is what we call a completely lucky guess. But seeing as how there were only so many letters for each lock in that code, I thought, what's a word that you can make that sounds like it might be a secret word? We'll try Zeus. So I think a little bit later, once we do get inside of his vault behind the paintings or whatnot, I believe one of the items in there is a clue that would kind of hone in on the fact that that was Zeus. But otherwise, I'm not quite sure how you were supposed to know that or find the answer in the environment, so to speak.
This painting isn't finished, and it looks like Mortimer probably did it. Not bad, but you can't exactly say it's been done in the style of the period. No, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. As if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Well, I hope I never have to try and unlock it. Doesn't work, damn it. I really thought I was close. 1,190. Isn't the right date when you subtract 4,000? I must have missed a subtlety. It's still not working. I get the impression I counted the wrong way. It must be 1 year more then, right? Open sesame. Let's see what you've been hiding, Lord Murderer.
Alright, so full disclosure on the next part. I'm gonna keep it all in, but it's just a lot of reading letters like this and commenting on stuff in his study. You do uncover a little bit about the character and find out what he's knowledgeable about and his weaknesses and strengths. But other than that, there's a whole lot in here worth knowing, so if you want to skip over to the part once I escape, feel free to do that, and I will not feel sorry that you skipped over it.
A fine-looking map of the Orient, indeed. Locked. Shows the forces present in Europe. It's clear that France is surrounded by her enemies. However, a large number has been underlined in bold. 26 million. I know what it is. It's an estimation of my country's population. All our neighbors have far fewer inhabitants. This is my mother's writing. I've picked up her trail. What is she up to? Obviously, she wants to lure Mortimer somewhere, but where? The only clue she's left for Mortimer is this stone sword. It must be intentional. It looks like a decorative sword, like from a statue, for example. And judging by the state of it, I'm guessing it's been left outside for a long time. I have absolutely got to find out where it came from. Moreover, it shows a fair number of sea voyages being organized towards the American continent. No doubt with slaves. How many men are broken in this trade? tens of thousands each year, according to what people say. It shows the forces present in Africa. This is unexpected activity in this sector. It looks like there are also many unknowns even for Mortimer. Weakness of the Human Psyche by Guillaume Trimore. He says, it is possible to drill an idea into someone by constant daily repetition until the mind gives in. And goes on, there are hundreds of good ways to live life, but you only need one to convince the masses that it's the only one possible. The author isn't letting any ethical principles get in his way, is he? This shows the forces present in America. Something strange about this table. The Little Surgeon's Perfect Collection. Preservation using formaldehyde. Just as disgusting as ever. Strange. I don't recognize the alphabet. I wonder where the pictograms are from. It isn't Egyptian or Hebrew. There are two inscriptions on the sides as well as on the top. No way to know what's underneath. Absolutely no idea what it's for, but I find this cube fascinating. Looks like obsidian or onyx. Must weigh a ton. These are feathers. Pigeon, probably. A skeleton by the name of Gustav, if the plaque on the plinth is anything to go by. Mortimer's given a name to his anatomy skeleton. That's morbid. Oh, his right hand is missing. That must be for writing the homing pigeon messages. An iron mask. I wonder who it's for. 3 rusty old nails. They're about 20 centimeters long. Some goat skulls, chicken legs. Now we all know what that's for. I'm a little surprised at Mortimer. I didn't seem as the type to be organizing little pagan parties, invoking occult powers, and dancing naked under the full moon. I'm more used to seeing cheap charms like this sold by charlatans in Pré Saint-Gervais. Look, a pack of tarot cards. Has he been reading the cards? Mortimer? That would surprise me. It is a typical draw on a line that answers a specific question. To the left, Temperance, that announces a reward for one who patiently waits before taking any action. And in the middle, the Chariot, which symbolizes triumph and business success. To the right, the Emperor evokes a future full of power and stability. Am I seeing things, or is that an actual von Leeuwenhoek microscope? Incredible. Mortimer really is at the cutting edge of science. Even at the Order, it took us ages to get one of those. A chest with a motif representing the alchemical symbol of fire. Table of alchemical elements. So, Lord Mortimer also studies alchemy? It seems like he's interested in everything. Locked. Oh, shit. How am I gonna get out of here now? It's locked. Preservation using formaldehyde. Just as disgusting as ever. This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. Looks like the same as the one on the other side. looks too easy. It could be a trap. This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. These cylinders rotate on the same central axis, so when I enter a number on one side, it corresponds to another one on the other side. This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. Well, better not dwell on it then.
Alright, and just like that, we've escaped the study that we broke into to figure out the secrets of his study. So, seeing here at the end, I'm a little sad that I did not do anything with the bird. I guess I didn't realize what that would have entailed. I think honestly to do the bird would be to pick up those grapes or whatever that were on his desk and probably feed him, but I didn't even see that you can interact with the bird, so that's my bad. So anyways, we're almost done with this episode, just one more chapter left, if you will, and let's continue on with that.
This note is about a meeting with Lord Mortimer. There's no doubt about it. Alright, I need to find out where the sword that came with it's from in order to find Mother.
You're joking, I hope. Don't tell me you've done that.
Really? How do you expect me to guess?
Oh, for God's sake, just ask them. We must absolutely inform Sir Gregory. How long has he been trying to collect all the spears?
I must have brought him the first one 20-odd years ago.
Do you know if he has managed to get the original?
Well, in any case, he's got all the ones we had at the Vatican. He made me replace them with copies. But I don't understand your reaction. I'm sure it is nothing serious.
I can see very well you do not understand. You have done nothing less than sign our death warrants, and still you don't understand.
Someone is listening.
What? Monsieur de Richet, why not join us rather than find yourself eavesdropping?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Of course you didn't. So, my son, what can we do for you?
I didn't mean to spy on you, but you caught my attention.
Please excuse me if I interrupt, gentlemen. I didn't want to disturb you. Please, carry on. Your Eminence, you were talking about the Holy Spear, if I remember correctly. The one that killed Christ on the cross. Is that right?
Indeed, Louis. I was just telling Mr. von Wallner about the Lord Mortimer's keen interest in the relic. He's been collecting them for years in the hope that he'll find the real one.
Enough. Please leave us, monsieur. His Eminence and I wish to finish our discussion alone.
So I do have to say that's probably the most nonchalant eavesdropping I've ever seen. Like, if I was gonna listen to them, why wouldn't I just plant myself around the corner, like when I first saw them, and sit there and listen? Why walk up to the fireplace? There were like 3 times in that conversation where they were turning and like saw you, like.
There's the alchemical symbol of the earth on the lid.
I am sorry, sir, but the conference room is under preparation and is consequently inaccessible to guests.
Could you perhaps help me?
What can I do for you, sir?
Where did this sword come from?
From the garden, sir. That sword belongs to one of the statues in the garden.
Thank you very much.
Don't mention it, sir.
Alright, and that right there is the second most nonchalant thing I've ever seen. Like, what the fuck? You're just gonna whip out the sword and be like, "Excuse me, sir, do you know where the sword came from?" "Oh, yes, that came from the garden." More like, why the fuck are you pulling swords from the garden and carrying them around? Like, you could poke an eye out, kid.
Is everything all right, my young friend?
Wonderful.
Isn't that lovely? Well, see you later.
The sword probably came from this garden, but what could it have been used for?
Alright, so once again, there's another puzzle time on this episode of the Council. So there's a bunch of statues in the garden, and I initially walk around and view each one. Then I was supposed to decipher just who to put the sword into, and I couldn't really figure that out. So I'm going to skip around a bit here in the garden, because one of the characters is out here to talk to, so I'll show that, and then I'll also show once I sort of figure out how to do it, and put the sword in, and then it's wrong, and then I'm going to go from there to me putting the sword in the right thing, and then moving on with this.
To the sun, they came unstuck and he fell to his death. Pity.
Because the rest of this is just me examining the statues and Greek mythology, and
one, sacrificed for the sins of the father.
And I had no idea what I was doing with any of this, so that would be pretty boring to watch, so we're just gonna skip ahead right now.
Well, Monsieur de Richet, what brings you here?
Tell the truth, I was wondering the same thing about you.
It's rare for guests to wander about in the garden. I wanted to be alone for 5 minutes.
You look worried.
Worried? No. Resolved would be a more exact term.
Resolved to do what?
What's the point in answering? You wouldn't believe me anyway. I'll be leaving now because whatever it is you're up to, I do not want to know. Be seeing you.
Tell me, aren't you even curious?
Curiosity killed a cat, Monsieur de Richet. I admit, I may have judged you wrongly. Watching you seek out Mortimer's little secrets might even be amusing if I didn't already know the consequences. See you later.
What scares you so much?
Don't mess with him, monsieur. If he offers his help, refuse it. Keep your freedom and get far away from here while you still can.
Ariadne. In Greek mythology, she helped Theseus get through the labyrinth. Looks like there's a crack in the region of the heart. I guide this sword that will kill the monster.
Alright, so after interacting with that statue, it's kind of apparent that that thread that was coming out of her needle or whatever was maybe be the guiding means to figuring out just where to go in the maze, since she guided the sword through the labyrinth. So that was the only thought
thread.
that I had for figuring
if I
out.
Rightly, Theseus avoided getting lost in the labyrinth.
Figuring out which statue to put the sword in, as that seemed fairly apparent. So I'll show which statue that ended me at, which, spoiler alert, was the wrong statue. And then I'll jump ahead again to the right statue and the corresponding sequence after I get it right.
Pasiphae, daughter of Perseus and sister of Circe. She married Minos and became the queen of Crete. Deliverance alone suffices not to wash away my humiliation.
She has no cracks. Alright, well, let's continue anyways. I wonder what this kiosk is doing in the middle of the garden. Too cramped to be able to do much. Well, there must be something going on there. What is that? It's like a sort of opening mechanism. Theseus.
Looks like a crack has been made on his torso. It's as long as a finger. I'd say between 6 and 8 centimeters. Well, we'll soon see. It's up to the just to deliver judgment. Truth unlocks all possibilities. What's wrong? Either I'm imagining things or my...
So, as you can see, the thread did not lead me to the right statue. And, I got a negative trait for getting it wrong, which,
pricked.
Kinda sucks.
It had poison on it. My head. I feel hot.
And now you can see that my character's such a whiny bitch, complaining about getting pricked once. But now let's skip ahead to the correct statue and move forward from there.
Minos. He and his queen, Pasiphae, were the monarchs of Crete. The crack is in the region of the heart. Again?
You can't be serious, Manuel. You know that's not going to happen.
You must leave me alone now. I have agreed to everything. Even to...
Agreed? I wasn't aware you had a choice.
What's going on here?
What now? What else must I do to win back my freedom?
Obey me. Now get out!
What was that? That's the third time in 3 days.
So that was pretty interesting. Looks like Godoy has some interesting relations with Sir Holmes. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the future, especially since Godoy's name has popped up a couple times in relation to your mother.
Let's see if you're in there, Mother. Fragment of amber. Bandages. Someone's been patching themselves up. Looks like my mother took advantage of being in hiding to change her bandages, huh? This is silk. She must have used her own clothes. Bandages. Someone's been patching themselves up. Looks like my mother took advantage of being in hiding to change her bandages, huh? This is silk. She must have used her own clothes. There are patches where the blood isn't totally clotted. That's a good sign, right? She changed them recently, which proves she's still looking after herself and still believes in her chances. Well, I'd love to tell her to keep hanging in there. Damn it, Mother. Now what's happened?
Don't move!
Wait, I'm not armed.
Who are you?
Good God, Mother, what have you—
Tell me who you are!
Alright, so apparently that confirms your mother is batshit off her rocker. So, clearly she's gone a little feral and is just lashing out at anything and everyone. I really didn't think this was so much of a cliffhanger of an ending. I mean, it does set up the next episode, and we'll see where that kicks off next. Getting to talk to your mother, hopefully, and not just sending you back up for the dinner bell to go to the meeting room with everyone else. But otherwise, I'm more interested to see the motives of some of the other characters that have their dealings. So we'll see how that plays out. Anyways, thank you for watching the Let's Play The Council Episode 2. This one will be brought to you in one complete episode, unlike the first one, which was broken into two. I think with the amount of edits I had to do and the amount of time I cut down, it just made more sense to do it this way. So, once again, thanks for watching, and hope you continue to enjoy the series.